Welcome to the podcast. I'm Joe Kane.
I'm Dan Kane.
And I'm Wayne Heckler.
And today we're going to be talking about the short film Code 8. To the bumper.
One thing I really liked about this short film, it gets to the point. It is a short film, so there's no use in wasting time. So one thing it does, the opening scene, the camera comes in on Lincoln City, and then strangely enough, which I think it's a nice twist, right away the second shot's actually pulling away to the city. So it's leaning into the city, pulling back away from the city, and establishing the suburbs where this poverty takes place. The other thing I like is quick establishing shots. It establishes the story right from the start. It shows the main lead. The bills are past due. He has an eviction notice. He's set up. We show him as a father taking care of his son. He has a mother. Shows very normal routines, making breakfast, and then suddenly there's a news report about this person with powers, the telekinetic man. So it sets up the tone for this whole thing very quickly, which I really like about this.
It's very to the point. There's a lot of cinematic beauty that's taking place in this. So yeah. My first impression of this was, wow, it looked like a ton of money went into this, and in some of our research, we found out later that it was a little different than that, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah. It was something that pulled you in right away.
So
the
cinematography was excellent right off the bat. So, this looks like a high-budget film, and yet it was a short film.
Yeah. It really had a good look to it, and the fact that it is a short film, in generally speaking, you think of short films, you go, okay, there's not a lot of money put into this. There's a lot. It's got to be corners cut, and they're calling up their friends and going, hey, you want to be an extra in here? You want to do this or whatever, just to try to get the thing done. And that's usually the impression you get with a short film.
You're expecting deficiencies.
You're expecting deficiencies, yes. I truly did not feel that watching this. Yeah, I felt like it was all in place.
The acting was excellent, superb acting. The cinematography was excellent, like I said. Yeah. And the main thing I have to say is different from other superhero films, is it felt more real. Like, it wasn't overly done. I guess, like, too much CGI almost feels like, oh, okay, it's a nice fantasy flick. But this almost felt like you were really there, like you could feel for these characters.
It put them in the everyday guy's situation.
Yeah, it was gritty. It was raw.
Bills, trying to take care of family, and made it a real person, to start out. So,
well, the best part is being able to tell a story like that and so fluidly in 10 minutes. That it was a complete thought. There was definitely a complete thought. Let's get into some specifics of things that happened in the short itself. You talked about it, but
an interesting twist is usually superheroes are either rich or they have a lot of resources. There's a twist on this one that these super people with powers actually were poor. They're on the poverty side, and they're looking for work. And really what I really like, besides just about the superpowers, it's almost given us a message of it's bias. Instead of racial bias, now it's bias against people with power. So they were looked at already as lowlives. And there they are trying to get work. They're hanging out in the parking lot, standing upon looking for people that need workers. And he asked, what do you have? And what was his power? The brawny man?
Level 2 brawn.
Level 2 brawn.
I think is what it was, yeah.
So it's really
I wouldn't
cool.
want to meet a level 3. This guy
level 2's enough.
He picked up a truck like it was going to, he's like, oh, you want to see?
No, okay. He goes, prove it, and picks up the truck. Knock that out. What did you think he was going to do?
Well, obviously, just for anybody listening or whatever, we are going to have spoilers in here. We are talking about the actual film. And everything.
Too late. I think we almost told the whole story. It is a short, so
you shut it off now.
Whoops.
Sorry, we went too far.
But I would say, check this film out. Absolutely. Look at this short film, Code 8. It's definitely worth it. And it is a precursor to something bigger coming.
Yeah. Well, we started doing a little bit of research on this, and in our digging, it gave us a little bit more of the plot line and everything else. But what the big thing that we found is that this is put out there to make as a feature film. There are other things out there now that are doing that type of thing. For example, Deadpool just came out. And what they did was they leaked, quote unquote, a little trailer of sorts, a little short film, basically.
Right.
And if anybody watched the movie, which I'm hoping you did, it was one whole scene in that movie, but they had shot it before to get this interest of the studio. And basically, from what I read about that, the studio really didn't want anything to do with it because that was like a hard R. That was an R-rated movie. And just this side of like NC-17,
right.
With some of the things that were going on in it.
I think it's actually the highest rated R film ever.
Is it?
Yes,
Is it? Well, that's
is.
good to hear.
Yes.
I mean, it's an excellent movie. That one had me like laughing the second the credits came up, and there were, some dumb guy on camera or something. Their descriptions of things. But they put out the film, and the original purpose of putting out that film was to get a fan base going. Okay, there'll be enough fan base to so that they can prove to the studio that, hey, this is something we should sink money into and get. Now, in a very similar fashion, they're doing this with Code 8. They're putting it out there, but I find the really awesome part of this is they're not putting it out there to try to get a studio behind them. They're putting it out there with crowdfunding.
Yeah. They want to do it their way.
They want to do it their way.
Yeah.
Once you have a studio involved, we got Mr. Kane knocking
just
everything
knocked
down around here,
yeah.
but that's all right. We have a little glitch,
Which
podcast.
Mr. Kane? I just decided to kick the table, but
But what was I saying, please?
I have no
I don't know.
idea.
But listen, let's go back.
Let's talk about the weather.
It's cloudy with a chance of meatballs, but that's another movie.
Different movie.
All right. But what the main purpose of this, what's great, is when you put out a short film like that to gain the attention, there's a need. Now I watched it. I want to see this. I want to see this main feature. I'm like, okay, I want more. And there's so much more that I know they're gonna do, but they don't want to give it away totally. But the way they did it, it's a teaser. It's just a short film, but it's actually a teaser, and it did its job. I'm teased. I want the rest of this.
Yeah.
And I just feel that I could connect with this more than so many other superhuman films. I think some of them are a little bit too far out there. This, like I said, the average man can relate to these type of powers.
I like that it's they're out there with the grit, trying to just make a buck day by day. It's closer to most of the people that are going to watch these films. But
well, the other cool point of it is that they took something that's gritty, that's raw, that you see and you look at and you go, okay, well, this is reality. This is what your everyday life is. And if you have these powers and you have these things that are happening to you in your life, and then they throw in like these futuristic, like Techamex, whatever they were, these drones that are out there.
They actually look pretty scary.
Techamex.
It's scary. They gave me anxiety.
Oh, the one scene I really love. You see the drone in the sky, and then it turns a little bit up, and you see the robots. And the way they fall like dead, like boom, and they're frozen.
Right.
And then they just lift up. It's actually almost a scary scene.
It's scary. It's almost like just that on point, like military.
Very precise.
Very precise, done. Don't screw around. Like
it set that tone right
yeah.
away. Right.
Yeah.
So
the cool part about them is they're really trying to fundraise this. They're trying to get behind it and get it out there. There's a couple things like if you wanted to tweet them, you can go at Code 8 Movie. And they really get back to you. I tweeted them the other day, and I was like, "This is a great film. I'm loving what's going on with this." And they were like, within 5 minutes, they were back to me. So they're on there. They're actively trying to get this thing fundraised. Now, one thing we didn't talk about is who's in the movie and who's creating this movie. You're talking about a fundraising platform that we have got on, and we've done it too in our short films, trying to go out there and get people to, put money into the arts and fund what we're doing with our short films.
Right.
It's difficult. It's difficult. There's projects you've worked on that have taken years to get funded.
Sure.
And it's a difficult thing.
And it helps when you have the name.
It helps when you have the name.
And
we
they
haven't dropped any names yet.
But they do have a name.
It's starring Robbie Amell, and Robbie Amell was, for those of you who don't know him, which you should, look him up. he was Firestorm on The Flash. Mm-hmm. And it's produced now by his cousin Stephen Amell, who is the Green Arrow. Now, these are two names right here that you go, oh, okay, well, that's why.
Right.
But I don't want to say that it's because of them having names that they are getting this, because they're kind of going about this at the grassroots level.
Right.
They're not out there like promoting their names and going, well, I'm the Arrow and I want to get this.
Right.
They're doing it the way that your average filmmaker would do.
Right.
With good resources behind them.
Obviously,
they have good
resources.
friends,
Right.
they have good connections, and they said they asked their friends to help out. They're going to do whatever they can to make this happen. So if you really want to back this, go to their funding site. And they gave very good incentives as well. Even like a co-executive producer possible when you get up there in the funding, T-shirts at the lower end, but it's something to check out.
Just to clarify what you're saying, if you donate money to this and or put money into it, you'll get prizes. You'll get a T-shirt, you'll get something, whatever. But the things that they offered on this, like one of the things that stood out in my mind was $250. And it was, you can be an extra in the film for $250. And I'm scratching my head. I'm going, wow, that's awesome. First of all, if you think about the platform there, trying to get extras sometimes it's hard to try to get extras on a low budget film. But there's people out there who would love to be a part of a film, just to get out there and get exposure and be on the film. And you know what? For $250, you go, okay, that's a cool thing that I get out of this. That I was in this film. And it's something for them. And some of the other ones were signed scripts by guys in the cast. I think it was $500 if you donate. Excuse me. Stephen Amell would send you a signed Arrow script.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Which, those of us comic book junkies are like, go, oh my God, that would be awesome.
And he gave a very detailed timeline of when they expect to get this going. So it's something to definitely check out.
Good news for them, though. They just the other day, I just looked on their Twitter, and they had tweeted. They had tweeted. That sounds horrible. They had tweeted that they broke the $1 million mark.
Yeah.
So they've already gotten $1 million towards this.
Yeah, now it's 1,100,000 something thousand.
1,100,000.
I just saw again today.
Well, it's going up every day. It's one of those things that they're keeping money pouring in. You don't want to go, okay, well, that was good for so long and we got this much and gone. It costs a lot to do a film.
It does, especially at this caliber. And like I said, I think they did a great job with a short film to put this much effort in.
Right.
It didn't look like just to advertise for their long thing. They actually put enough into it that it could stand on its own as a short film.
It was done very well.
And I'm really interested in seeing this. I think everyone listening should definitely check this out and see the whole feature.
Code8movie.com. You can go and check out some of the things. And also, you can tweet them at Code8movie and use the hashtag Code8 and, try to get them all on their social marketing. Because the more social marketing they get out there, social media, I should say, the more social media that they hit, share their stuff, get them out there, help them out. If you can see this and go, okay, this is a good thing. This is a great film. If you think about it from a indie filmmaker, which we're indie filmmakers, you think about it from that aspect, what an amazing feat to actually get a full-length feature made.
Yes.
And to get money behind it.
Without a studio.
Right. Without a studio.
So you don't have the
to show
input.
that you can get it done that way. You know what I mean? If you put together something that's worth having, that's worth making, that's
as
worth
long as
doing,
the interest is
that
there.
you can go that route.
There's something to be said that there are a lot of movies out there that were backed by studios that were ruined by studios. We're not gonna
drop any names
or point any fingers, but you go like this and you'll see a director that walked away and was like, screw them, this was the worst experience ever.
And that's to be expected. There's every angle of different things that's common, that a studio would even make it better, sometimes it turns out worse. That's just the name of the game in this case.
Yeah.
But in this case, to do it when you have a vision, when you have a dream of the way you want something to be and look, especially when you're the actual writer, you have a director that's on board, you're a little weary about people changing it. That's why they always call your script, it's my baby, it's my baby. Sometimes it's hard to let go. So when you do it yourself, this way you could ensure that it's the way you envisioned it, the way you want it to be.
Yeah.
The creative process can get stifled by somebody coming in and saying, I'm giving you this, I want you to do this instead. You know, that's daunting. That's daunting when somebody comes in. You know, some of the commercial work and other things that we've done. You know, when somebody comes in and goes, no, I you know, it's disheartening
because it's from a business standpoint.
It's from a
sometimes
business standpoint.
not from the artistic side.
And you know what? I'm not criticizing for the sake of criticizing. You know, the point is that sometimes you got to give somebody a little leeway. You know, and maybe they'll give them a little rope and maybe they'll hang themselves. Or maybe they'll, I don't know, knit a sweater for with the rope.
Sometimes they find their way. It's like Seinfeld, for
That was
instance.
horrible
reference.
I think I'll hang myself. I don't need a
After
sweater.
that comment.
But it's
Remind me not to do any more metaphors.
It's like Seinfeld, right? I mean, that's something that wasn't popular at first, and they kept it on. Most of the high execs liked it more than the actual audience did. But they saw something in it, and they stood by them, and eventually it became the huge success it did. So sometimes you give them the leeway, and hopefully they do know where to go.
That's the only chance to get the creative aspect out of them. You know what I mean? Sink or swim, but you don't get that otherwise. You know, it's the best chance of getting the best possible outcome, I think. So,
hey, I don't know about you, but after Code 8, I'm looking for Code 9 and Code 10. They're sequels.
Code 9 and 10.
So, guys, do check this out.
You hear that? You hear that, Robbie and Steven? That's
we're giving you an endorsement.
We're already looking for the sequel. You know, there's a lot of stars in this movie already that you know, we already mentioned Robbie Amell. Stephen Amell was supposed to play that lead character, actually. When looking into it, some of the research we did, he was actually supposed to play that lead character. But because of his commitment on Ninja Turtles and Arrow, he was unable to do it when they were filming. So he stepped into an executive producer role.
And he still wants to be in the full feature.
He still wants to be in the full feature.
Right.
He actually kind of promised it, and then he's like, you know, we're all hoping he'll be in it. You know, he's great. The other guys in the film are Sam Kang, Aaron Abrams. You know, he was on Stargate Atlantis and a couple other things. It's directed by Jeff Chan. And you know, it's everybody in here has got powerhouse names. They're not. It's not your average run of the mill indie film that's being made by like kids in their backyard. You know.
Right.
And like I said, it looks like there was a lot of money poured into it, and that makes a big difference. Yeah. Makes a big difference. Yeah. Now, if you wanted to actually put some money into this, what is it? Indiegogo?
Yes.
Is where you go to take a look and actually empty your wallets into the film.
And the best way would just be go to YouTube, probably put in Code 8. And you'll see all the connection links and look into it. If you're really into it.
Well, I think the first thing is go watch the short.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yes.
Go watch the short. Like I said, we were. I think I can speak for all of us. We were all kind of blown away how good and what top quality this was.
It sells itself. It absolutely sells itself. You watch it. It's one of those things you want to see made. So be a part of it, guys. And you know, we'll check this out. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you next time. Thank you.